My name is Lisa Dresner, and I'm an associate professor of writing studies and rhetoric, and also I'm director of Hofstra's LGBTQ plus studies program, and my pronouns are she, her.
Well, to start us off, it is LGBTQ History Month. October is the time to celebrate LGBTQ history. Could you start by sort of telling our viewers what really is the necessity and importance for LGBTQ History Month?
I think it's an important month to celebrate because a lot of times right now, as you well know, and I'm sure as your listeners well know, there's a lot of homophobic and transphobic legislation that has been passed, that people are trying to pass in America generally, including in Nassau County itself specifically. And, I feel like knowing our LGBTQ plus history is really important because, some of the sort of assumptions behind some of this homophobic and transphobic legislation are that people weren't part of the LGBTQIA plus community before fairly recently. And that's just simply not true. Actually, around the world, in just about every culture, we have records of people who, today would clearly have been identified as part of the community. And cultures, accommodated that to various extents or didn't. But this is not something new in any way, shape, or form. So I think that's one reason why it's important is so that we can counter that implied assumption that, that we're doing something so radically new or different. We're not actually. People have always had various orientations and gender identities. People have always had various orientations and gender identities. And that's part of the counter argument that we can use. We always have existed. We exist now, and we always will exist. And societies should treat that accordingly.
When it comes to sort of celebrating LGBTQ History Month, what are some of very, very common ways that you've seen people honor this month or honor this time? Is there specific ways that people go about doing it?
What I've seen has been more individual. I mean, intercultural engagement and inclusion, and a number of other Hofstra entities did have a celebration in the student center for the month. But I think in terms of like really celebrating it in a way that is going to be like uplifting for us, it's nice to kind of do a little individual reading, whether it's online or in a book or however, or listening to a podcast. There's a lot out there. If you start searching for LGBTQIA plus history, you will find materials. And it's just really cool. You can go down a rabbit hole and learn about people you've never learned about before and realize that there are people, very much like you who existed before and flourished.
As the you said director of the LGBTQ studies program here at Hofstra, what are some ways that the program seeks to really educate people about LGBTQ history?
Well, you can take some of our classes. Intro to LGBTQ plus studies. It's offered every fall. And it's kind of an overview of, as many different orientations and identities as we can put into the class in the United States, and kind of a historical view. Our main text for that course is Susan Stryker's Transgender History, which is again fairly United States focused, but focuses on especially trans political movements from, sort of the work of individuals in maybe the 18th and 19th centuries through more organized movements throughout the 20th and 21st centuries. Professor Stephen Smith teaches a number of classes that are about the ancient world and LGBTQIA plus identities. Next semester is Queering Ancient Fiction, which is going to be a wonderful class, which looks at ancient Greek and Roman texts and that are related to LGBTQIA plus themes, and then pairs it with more modern novels that are kind of maybe doing a different take on those texts. Dr. Pepa Anastasio also looks often at trans themes in, medieval Spain and Renaissance Spain and other things like that. And she also teaches for the program. So if you look at our course offerings, we often do have historical or literary takes on historical perspectives on the LGBTQIA plus community. So that's one thing that the program tries to do. Also, we do have little LGBTQ plus lending library that's sort of take a book, leave a book. You don't have to bring it back. If you enjoy it, you can just keep it. And that's on the first floor of Mason Hall. And there are some books there that are historical as well as, fiction and fun. So yeah, that's pretty much what we try to do.